My name is Tibor Palatinus. I'm an independent holistic rehab advisor. I essentially help people move from drug seeking to purpose seeking and living a healthy life. And speaking about that, I have a guest today, Gillian Roberts, who does just that. We're going to find out a little bit about what she does. She's an author, soon-to-be author, spiritual coach, and a professional public speaker. Today we're in Vancouver Club 59, which is a public speaking club. And I met Gillian through this club. Interestingly, she's going to be introducing her book, which is soon to be released, The Thought That Changed My Life Forever. And we're pleased to have one of her authors, a co-contributor, in this room as well. I wanted to speak with Gillian because she's essentially being launched onto the world stage, which we'll find out about why and how this all occurred. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how clarifying meaning in your life can really change your life forever. So thank you very much, Gillian, for coming and visiting us and talking to us.
My pleasure, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Is this a dream come true for you?
Well, Tibor, I would have to say yes. My feeling about the book itself is that it really is, it's like the first gift in a treasure of gifts. So it's the beginning of a very hopefully long life of dreams coming true.
Wonderful. Now, in this book you received quite an endorsement, and I'll quote this endorsement. Through the open-heartedness of their contributors and their own lives, Gillian and Christian, her co-author, provide factual evidence that there is no greater power than the power of thought, which informs our intentions, actions, and manifestations. It's Michael Beckwith, who's been on Oprah many times, a very well-recognized thought leader. And how did you get this incredible testimonial from such a really world-class author and speaker?
Well, I have to tell you that this is one of the dreams come true for me. Michael Bernard Beckwith is a doctor of divinity. He is the spiritual leader of Agape down in California, and it turns out that he was the mentor to my spiritual mentor. And through a beautiful turn of events, we were able to connect, and he said yes. And that has to be one of the highlights of my life, to be honest. It's when I met him in person a couple of years ago, and we made the connection through Reverend Candace, who was my mentor. He said, well, if she was your mentor and I was her mentor, that makes you my granddaughter.
Very nice.
And I melted into a puddle right in front of him. But, in terms of the work he does in the world, he moves me to the very essence of my soul, and so it's a great honor to have his words speak for ours.
Wonderful. You say, my whole life has been in preparation for this moment. Now, for the benefit of those who don't know you yet, who is Gillian Roberts and what do you do?
That's a very big question. I think it's a beautiful question. Again, I think it's something that happens over time. In essence, I believe I'm a spiritual practitioner, a practitioner of truth. And what I do in the world is I work with people and help to illuminate their unique genius. So have you ever felt moments of feeling broken?
Yeah.
I'm sure many people in the audience have felt that way. I'm sure many of your clients have felt that way. And when I work with a client, I work from a very different paradigm. I work from a paradigm that people are perfect and whole and complete, right where they are. And that any challenges that we have in life are really layers of obstacles that just need to be melted away, that there needs to be a coming home to a realization of our truth. And if you've ever had someone look you in the eye and see the truth of who you are through the pain and the brokenness that you feel, I believe there's no greater gift that we can offer one another in service. And that's what I get to do in my work.
Wow, and you're also a speaker, correct? Or is that?
Yes, that's
true.
true.
A little bit about that, or?
Well, I was thinking before we got started that one of my greatest memories of speaking was the very first time the reverend at my church asked me to step in for her. And I got the opportunity to do the talk or the sermon at the church, and what an amazing experience that was. And I've had the opportunity to speak at a variety of churches, and certainly have gotten a lot of practice here at Club 59.
Wonderful. Now, there's been amazing stories of self-discovery and overcoming major challenges seem to lead back to transformations or transformative thought in a person's life. You told me that your life journey began 18 years ago, and that today's journey for you that has got you here, this amazing new launch you're having in just a few short weeks, began 9 years ago. What occurred in your life?
Well, I think that many of us have turning points in our lives, and whether, I think a lot of times we characterize it that I fell off my path, whereas I believe that I think we took a greater step on the path that was ours to take. And 18 years ago, I had quite a life-changing experience. I faced an experience where an interaction with a man went south, and I really felt that I was facing life and death at the hands of this person.
So you're talking about an assault?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How did you turn that into a, I won't dare say it's a good thing, but how did that define you or help you get to where you are today? And I don't mean in the case of help you, but what choices did you make that could possibly get some benefit or positive out of that circumstance or situation?
Well, I think initially it really did, it threw me into a deep course change. And what I felt that I knew of myself and the world felt that it was imploded. And I felt very connected to life itself, to the power. I wouldn't have even called it God at that point, but I felt very connected to the power of life, and that I had that connection allowed me to put my mind to something, and that the world was one of possibilities. And there was something that felt like I became unplugged in that experience. I felt like I became unplugged from that source. And so it became quite a process, years of getting plugged back in. However, like many times when we break a bone, often that broken bone heals more strong than the one that hasn't been broken. And I think that what it did was it set me on the course of my calling, and one to be more conscious of what faith and what my path of service really was, as opposed to feeling connected for myself. It became about being connected for others.
Interesting. Now, you also say 9 years ago there was a change. So what was that all about?
Well, that was when I actually came into the Center for Spiritual Living Vancouver, which was a place where I met my spiritual mentor. She became my spiritual mentor. It's a spiritual community here in Vancouver, and it was like a coming home. It was finding faith and a philosophy that just felt like how I've been living my life and what I believed in my whole life. And immediately I set myself on a course to become a licensed spiritual practitioner. And through that process of study, and I studied Tibetan Buddhism with some depth as well, and dovetailing those faiths together, and really setting my professional course to do what I do in the world now.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, I guess we're talking in some degrees about overcoming fear or adversity, if you will. What does it take to step outside of that fear and move forward? What did you do?
Well, I think that there's definitely that saying, which I think many of us have heard, which is feel the fear and do it anyways. But why would we do that? The question is, why do that? And I think that there has to be some belief that there's something beyond that fear. There's something that is greater than fear, that is worth the risk. And I believe that there's something to believe in beyond the fear, and that's what keeps all of us going.
Are you talking about life purpose here?
I think that what is on the other side of taking that risk is the opportunity to discover what your life purpose truly is, or your calling. And in fact, I can say that in the putting together of this book, we have 52 collaborators, 52 different helpers and healers from all over the world that we recruited, including Brenda here. And what we found as we went through the story, some of them were very much about adversity and what came from that. Some of them were about fantastic events and what came of that. What we saw across the board was that there was an unleashing of someone's true potential, and that true potential was something that could begin to help to transform the world. And I think it's through these experiences, these great melting pots that we go through, whether they're exciting, whether they're challenging, it's how do we use our minds, not only what thoughts come to us, but then how do we follow through on those thoughts? What actions do we take that support a new way of being? And in taking that risk, what beautiful grandeur is there on the other side?
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. In the book you co-authored with Dr. Christian Gannett, there's a wonderful introduction. I'll quickly read that intro. It says, "We know the power of the mind can manifest anything we desire, health, happiness, and success. We want others to understand, explore, and benefit from this truth to create a positive, vibrant world." Wonderful words. I'm so looking forward to having this book come out. Just in closing, is what's the last name of the name of the last chapter in your book, and who wrote it?
Chapter 52 is called I Love You Too, and I wrote that chapter.
Wonderful. Well, on behalf of myself and all the wonderful members here at Club 59, we love you too. I'll leave you with this thought. Have you ever had a thought so monumental it literally changed everything? I'm here with Gillian Roberts, and may it change your world too.